Hey guys, in this episode I'm gonna be commencing the block preparation and the initial assembly. Okay, let's get into it. Before doing such a big job, you need to dig into the spare parts catalog. The easiest way is to use realoem.com. Just enter your car's VIN number and find the required schematics with the spare parts numbers and other relative info. Let's assemble the pistons first. The correct assembly should look like this. The rod and the cap pair numbers should face towards you and the arrow on the top must point to the right. Lube up the pin and the piston. The pin should go in using the fingers only. The whole assembly must freely move. If it doesn't, then you can use a superfine sandpaper, something like P2000, to slightly polish the rod bushing or the piston pinholes. Install the snap rings. Okay, that's done. I'm gonna be using the ring expander for the middle ring. Firstly, we need to install the lower oil ring. It consists of a ring and expander spring. The lock of the spring must be on the opposite side of the ring, 180 degrees. Something like this. Firstly, install the expander spring and mount the ring on top of it. Install the second ring using the special tool. The letters on the rings must face upwards. And the top ring is mounted in this way. Now finish off the rest of them. Now I will lap the cylinder surface using N30 silicone paste. You can check the previous episode link in the description. I'm explaining the theory there why I'm gonna be using this paste. I've managed to find on the eBay the original felt stones for this job, but they are designed for special honing machines. The felt is quite hard here. I've bought a generic honing tool with two legs and I figured out I can combine those tools together using hot glue. Degreased the surface and glued everything together. Something like this. The whole thing was a bit flimsy, so I've decided to zip tie it. Now it's much better. Now I'll tape all of the holes to prevent contamination. Put a rack underneath to prevent paste from falling from the cylinder. Clean the cylinder. Apply the paste on the cylinder and the tool. Start lapping with 200 RPM for the next 60 seconds. Clean the paste. The manual recommends using petrol for cleaning. Let's see what we've got. The miracle not happened. The cylinder should look dull gray, something like this. But it isn't. Then I thought that maybe my tool is not making enough pressure. The manual says that the pressure should be 20 newtons per square centimeter, which is 2 bars. This means that the applied pressure should be quite big. So I've decided to grab a rack and rub the paste using the hand motion. And look at that, the color changed indeed to duller gray. So I've bent the tool legs to get more pressure out of it. Unfortunately, the tool broke straight after this modification. So I needed a new solution fast. I went to a hardware store and bought some stuff to assemble a new tool. A new 3-legged honing tool, a hard felt polishing disc, and I've assembled a new tool. Okay, here we go again. This tool was definitely making more pressure than the previous one. I've also realized that I was doing less RPM last time, so increased the speed as well. I've also increased the time, was doing 2 minutes per cylinder. That's more like it. Just look at that nice dull finish. This is now how it should be. Did 6 cylinders in total, and this is how they look in comparison with the remaining unfinished 2. Now I was happy with the results. The consumption of the paste is around 60 grams for the whole engine. Okay, let's commence the assembly. Install the main bearings. I'll use the standard yellow ones, as manual says. Clean and blow the crankshaft with air. Clean the bearing. I'm gonna use the assembly loop since I'm not sure how long it's gonna take until the engine will end up in my car. I've installed the truss bearing as well, but actually you can do it later on by just sliding them in when the crankshaft is in. Caps were cleaned in the ultrasonic bath beforehand. Screw in the hex head in. I have installed the yellow bearings here as well. Install the caps so that the retaining grooves would be on the same side. I'm gonna use plastic gauge only on the middle bearing to see the clearance. I think that should be enough. Use tall bolts on this cap since they are one-time use only and no need wasting new bolts for clearance check. Other caps got new bolts. Do not wash off their coating, they come coated. They are stretch type, so need to be replaced every time you unscrew them. Firstly, fasten all of them with initial joining torque. Unfasten screws on main bearing cover 5. Strike back and forth crankshaft with plastic hammer to center truss bearings. Tighten screws of main bearing cover 5 with initial joining torque again. Tighten down all bolts on main bearing cap with angle gauge. Now unscrew the middle cap bolts and check the clearance. Clearance is within spec. Now clean the plastic gauge, apply some assembly lube, replace the bolts with new ones and torque the middle cap down to the spec. Crankshaft spins well. Check the axle play and it is still within spec. Now screw in the bushes and torque them down. Replace the collar screw with new and torque them down. Same goes for the oil pump screws. Now turn those bolts further to the required angle. That's done. Time for the pistons. Pin the rings in such way that the angle between the ring locks should be 120 degrees. Ring gaps should not be located above piston pins. I will use original top spooler rings, they are reinforced. I didn't find the required tool which is recommended by the manual, just bought the standard ring compressor. Lube up the piston, rings and the tool. Compress the rings. Lube up the cylinder. Turn the crankshaft so that the crankshaft journals would be in the bottom dead center. This will prevent rod from scratching the journals. Manual stresses using only fingers. Hammering is not allowed. If you watch other videos, everyone is hammering and nothing bad happens. The cap bearings I will use Glyco. They came as original ones when I've disassembled the engine. Caps are matched and paired with the rods. They share the same number. I've checked the bearing clearance as well using all bolts and plastic gauge. Clearance is within spec, but is closer to the upper limit with these non-original bearings. Okay, let's clean the cap. Apply assembly lube and replace bolts. They are single use only as well. We'll hand tie them for now. Install the opposite piston number 5. Torque those bolts in 3 steps. Looks good. Let's do the other pistons. Be careful, sometimes the rings can stuck, that's why it's possible to break them, especially if using the hammering tools. And the last, third step, the angle. And here we are. Okay, time to install the valley pan. Remember I've said that I was planning to install the M60 valley pan. I've managed to find one. They are rare. It was aqua blasted. Has a flat surface, so it's possible to use gaskets. The modern one is one-time use part and comes with a ready gasket thing. As you've noticed, the surface has pits on it, probably because of the cavitation, so this will definitely leak. Same goes for the block. I will use a special liquid gasket to fill in those pits. Prepare the surface. and start applying the gasket. The gasket. Apply this stuff on the gasket as well, and on the pen itself. Pen bolts were rusty, so bought new ones. I will add some thread sealer on them. Screw them in using first gear of the tool. Torque them down in the cross pattern. I was not planning to replace the sprocket, but I've noticed a wear groove done by the timing chain cover seal. It was not looking critical, but I've decided to replace it. Used my cheap Chinese puller to pull out the sprocket. The crankshaft has a groove as well, unfortunately. I'll have to leave it as it is. Time to install the oil squirters. Half of them were half clogged. When I checked the price, I decided to clean them. One piece is 50 euros. I've cleaned them using ultrasonic bath several times and use a thin wire to clean inside. Decided not to buy new plugs, but rather clean them using my mild sandblaster. New crush washers. New plugs. Time to install the heads. Pistons slightly protrude above the deck, so I will set the pistons in the 45° before TDC position. It is the position when all of the pistons are lower than the deck surface. Blow the bolt wells before installation. Clean the deck surface. I will replace both non-return oil valves. They hold the oil in the heads when the engine is switched off. And the gaskets. New dowel pins are rusty. Clean them with P2000 sandpaper. Clean the dowel pin holes. New original gaskets. No any brands were stamped on them. Had to slightly clean the dowel pin mounting area on the heads. Smear some RTV in these places. New bolts. They are one-time use only. Mark the bolts for easier job. They are torqued in 3 steps. Torque, angle, and the last angle. Done. Now is the next side. Bolts on this head should be marked and torqued like this. Done. Okay, test drive. Time for the oil pump. The E53 oil pump is different, so I've bought the E38 oil pump. Let's disassemble it first. I've bought the new long spring for nothing. The length almost didn't change. The short spring is not in the catalog. The pump looks okay, has slight wear on the walls. The piston has some scars on it and it is no longer available. It is slightly stuck during movement. There are slight scratches inside the well as well. I've polished all of them using P2000 sandpaper. Pump housing came back from the aquablasting. I gave it a wash since there's still some media remaining inside. Time for assembly. The thread locker. The pressure relief valve is quite hard to install. The spring is strong. X5 and E38 pump sprockets are the same, even though the E38 sprocket was newer according to the year stamped. It had some plane being on the shaft. The older E53 sprocket was a tight fit. These nuts tend to unscrew, so I will apply thread locker. This valve installation is easy. New plastic cover. Let's install the pump. The small tube is different than on the E53. The big one is the same. New O-rings. As I've said before, I'm gonna leave the X5 PCV system. For this reason, the oil pan needs to be slightly modified to be able to attach a drain pipe to it. I have disassembled the oil pan and sent it to the aquablasting first. Temporarily install the oil pan for measurements. mounted the intake manifold and the X5 crankcase ventilation system. This is how it goes. A bit low, since the X5 oil pan is quite deep. I've bent the pipe by hands and using vise. Something like this. Welders welded a 10mm thick aluminum shoe. Time to drill the shoe with 10.5mm drill. Let's check the original banjo bolt thread size. It is M12 by 1.5. Let's tap a new thread. Thread cutting coil. Now is the fine thread. Looks good. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.